You must never give even a kobo to his family. Tundai froze. If his wife or child ever touches your money, the man said slowly, you will run mad instantly. The room went cold, and that will be your fate forever.
Hey, besties, guys, this is not just a story. This is something that can happen to anyone when desperation actually meets wrong decision. Sit tight. Let's dive in.
The city of Lagos never really sleeps. Even before the sun rises, the streets are already alive with noise. People hurry from one place to another, chasing the day before it even begins. Among the thousands of yellow buses that fill the roads every morning were two brothers. Tunde was the older one, a quiet, responsible man who carried the weight of his family on his shoulders every single day. At home, his wife waited for him with their 3 children. School fees, food, rent, medical bills. The list of responsibilities never seemed to end. Still, Tunde woke up before dawn every day, washed quickly and headed straight to the park to hustle. His younger brother, Kunle, had his own struggles too. He had a wife and a little boy who was just beginning to understand the world. Kunle loved that boy deeply. Whenever he looked at him, he felt both joy and fear. Joy because he was proud to be a father. Fear because he wondered if he would ever be able to give his son the life he deserved. Like his brother, Kunle was also a bus driver. Every day, the two brothers drove through the busy streets of Lagos, from Oshodi to Obalende. Under the hot sun, inside heavy traffic, surrounded by impatient passengers and shouting conductors. Some days were good, most days were not. But they kept pushing. They kept hoping. Because in Lagos, if you stop moving, life leaves you behind. One evening, Lagos was slowly cooling down after a long, stressful day. The traffic had reduced a little. Tunde parked his bus and stretched his aching back. Not far away, Kunle was doing the same. "Ha! Today nearly finished me," Kunle said as he wiped sweat from his face. Tunde chuckled tiredly. "You think say not only you. One passenger almost fought me because of 200 naira." They both laughed weakly. They both walked to a small roadside bar they sometimes visited after work. They ordered 2 cold bottles and sat down. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They just drank quietly, staring at the busy street. Then Kunle sighed deeply. "Brother, how long we go continue like this?" Tunde looked at him. "Like how?" Kunle shook his head slowly. "Every day the same thing. Wake up early, drive bus, fight traffic, argue with passengers. At the end of the day, nothing remains." Tunde nodded slowly. "My children's school just sent another message today," he said quietly. 3 terms fees still remaining." Kunle rubbed his forehead. "My landlord, too, is disturbing me. If I don't pay in 2 weeks, he said we should pack." Silence fell between them again. Then Tunde leaned closer. "There is something I heard," he said in a lower voice. Kunle looked at him. "What thing?" "There is one man people talk about, a very strong ritualist." Kunle frowned immediately. "Ritualist? Brother, what are you saying?" Tunde took another drink. "They say he helps people that were suffering like us. After seeing him, their lives changed." Kunle shifted uneasily. I don't like this kind of thing." Tunde looked straight at him. "Kunle, are you happy with this life?" Kunle had no answer. After a long silence, Tunde spoke again. "Let us just go and know how helpful the man will be to us." Kunle hesitated, but slowly he nodded. The next afternoon, Tunde walked up to Kunle at the motor park and said quietly, "Are you ready?" Kunle hesitated for a moment. His hands were still greasy from the steering wheel. "I don't know, brother," he said slowly. "Something about this thing is not sitting well with me." Tundai looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Let us just go and hear what the man will say," he replied. "No one is forcing us to do anything." Kunle sighed and nodded. "Okay." They entered a small bus heading out of the busy part of Lagos. After asking around, they finally arrived at the compound people had told them about. The gate was old and rusty. The compound was quiet, almost too quiet. A few chickens moved around the dusty ground. In one corner, smoke was rising slowly from a small hut. Kunle's heart began to beat faster. "Brother Tundai, I don't like this place," he whispered. Tundai tried to sound confident. "Relax. We have already come this far." They knocked on the wooden door. A few seconds later, the door opened slowly. A man stepped out. His eyes were sharp and his face was serious. The man studied them quietly. "You are the ones looking for help," he said in a deep voice. Tundai quickly nodded. "Yes, sir." The man turned and walked inside the hut without another word. "Come." The brothers followed him in. Inside the room, the air felt heavy. Strange objects hung on the walls. Small clay pots were arranged on a table. The smell of burning herbs filled the space. The ritualist sat down and looked at them carefully. "What do you want?" he asked. Tundai cleared his throat. "We are struggling, sir. Life in Lagos is very hard. We work every day, but nothing changes. We want a better life." The man listened quietly. Then he nodded slowly. "The gods can change your story," he said. Kunle shifted nervously on his seat. "But," the man continued, his voice suddenly becoming serious, "nothing comes without a price." The room fell silent. "What kind of price?" Kunle asked quietly. The ritualist looked directly into their eyes. "You must bring a human sacrifice." Kunle jumped to his feet immediately. "What?" His voice trembled. No, I can't do that." The ritualist raised his hand calmly. "I did not say you must decide now." He leaned back slowly. "Go home. Think about it carefully. If you truly want what you asked for, return within 7 days." The brothers said nothing. They slowly walked out of the hut. Outside, Kunle's hands were shaking. "Brother, what have we gotten ourselves into?" he whispered fearfully. But Tundai remained quiet as they left the compound, and the fear in Kunle's heart was only beginning. That night, sleep did not visit either of the brothers. Tundai lay on his back, staring at the ceiling. His room was quiet, but his mind was loud. The ritualist's words kept echoing in his head. A human sacrifice. He turned from one side to another, restless. "How will I even do it?" he whispered to himself. His heart was racing, but something stronger was pushing him. The thought of his children, their school fees, the shame of not providing, the daily struggle. "I can't continue like this," he muttered. "I must do something." The fear was there, but his desperation was louder. If others have done it and their lives changed, why not me? Meanwhile, Kunle sat at the edge of his bed, his head in his hands. No, I can't," he said firmly. He pictured his little boy, innocent, smiling, trusting him completely. "How can someone take another person's life just to be comfortable?" he whispered. Kunle shook his head. "Whatever it is, I am not going back there. God will help me the right way." That night, two brothers made two different decisions. The next morning was quiet but heavy. Tundai picked up his phone and called Kunle. "Hello, Kunle." Kunle's voice came in low. "Good morning, brother." There was a short silence. "So, have you thought about it?" Tundai finally asked. Kunle didn't hesitate this time. "Yes, I have." "And?" Tundai pressed. Kunle exhaled slowly. "I'm not doing it." Tundai kept a straight face. "What do you mean you're not doing it?" "I mean exactly that," Kunle replied, firmer now. "I can't take someone's life because I want money. I can't carry that kind of blood on my head." Tundai's tone changed. "Kunle, be realistic. Look at our lives. Look at your son." "And that is exactly why I won't do it," Kunle cut in. "What kind of life will I give him if I build it on something like that?" Tundai went quiet. Kunle continued softer now. "Brother, let us suffer, but let us have peace." Tundai's jaw tightened. "So you're really backing out?" he asked. "Yes," Kunle said plainly. "I'm not going there again." Another silence. "All right," Tundai finally said. "I hear you." But his voice had changed. Later that day, Tundai sat alone, thinking. Kunle's words echoed in his head, but his own problems shouted louder. By the next morning, his mind was made up. He went back alone. The journey to the ritualist's compound felt shorter this time. When he arrived, the same quiet greeted him. He knocked. The door opened. "You have returned," the ritualist said, as if he already knew. Tundai nodded slowly and stepped inside. "My brother is not interested," he said. "But me? I am ready." The ritualist studied his face carefully. "Are you sure?" he asked. Tundai swallowed. "Yes." "Do you understand what it requires?" Tundai hesitated for a second, then nodded again. "I do." The ritualist leaned forward slightly. "Do you have someone already?" There was a pause. Tundai's eyes dropped briefly. Then he spoke. "Yes." The room fell silent. The ritualist nodded slowly. "Good. Go and prepare yourself," he said calmly. "In 2 days' time, bring the sacrifice." Tundai stood up, his heart beating faster. He didn't say another word. He walked out of the hut, out of the compound, and he went straight to Kunle's house. Kunle was surprised to see him. "Brother, hope everything is okay." Tundai didn't reply or sit immediately. He looked uneasy. "Kunle, I've been thinking." Kunle folded his arms. "About what?" Tundai sighed deeply. "That man, that ritualist, what if we just leave him like that? What if he gets angry and do something evil to us?" Kunle frowned. So we should just go back," Tundai said quickly. "Just to tell him we are not interested again. Let us not offend him." Kunle shook his head slowly. I don't like this." "Please," Tundai added, his voice softer now. "Let's just go and close the matter properly." After a long pause, he sighed. "Okay, we'll go. But after that, I'm done with anything that concerns that man." Tundai nodded quickly. Yes, that's all." But before they left, Tundai gave one more instruction. "Kunle, just tell your wife you're taking a client out of Lagos, that the journey might be long." Kunle raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Just in case," Tundai replied. "You know how women worry." Kunle didn't argue. He told his wife, "I'm taking a client to another town. It might take time. I may not come back early." His wife nodded. "Okay, just be careful." Kunle smiled faintly. "I will." He didn't mention he was going with his brother, and then they left. The journey felt quiet, too quiet. Kunle tried to make small talk, but Tundai barely responded. His face was serious, his mind elsewhere. "Brother, are you okay?" Kunle asked at some point. "I'm fine," Tundai replied shortly. When they finally reached the compound, the same silence welcomed them, the same strange air. Kunle's heart began to beat faster again. "I don't like this place," he whispered. Tundai said nothing. They entered. The ritualist was already waiting. "I knew you would return," he said calmly. Kunle stepped forward quickly. "We came to tell you we are not interested." But before he could finish, everything changed. What happened next was so fast, so unexpected. Kunle didn't even have time to process it. A sharp movement, a sudden struggle, a scream that didn't last long. And then, silence. The kind of silence that chills the soul. Tundai stood there, breathing heavily. It was done. His own brother, Kunle, used as the sacrifice. The ritualist watched without emotion. Then he spoke. "It is complete." Tundai's hands were shaking. "The wealth you seek will come," the man continued. "But listen carefully." Tundai looked up slowly. "You must never give even a kobo to his family." Tundai's heart skipped. "Not a penny," the ritualist repeated firmly. "If his wife or child ever touches your money, you will run mad instantly." The room felt colder. "That will be your fate. Forever." Tundai swallowed hard. "I understand," he said quietly. The ritualist nodded. "Then go." Tundai turned and walked out of the shrine. The same road, the same path. But nothing was the same anymore. Behind him he had left his brother, and somewhere far away a woman and a child were waiting, not knowing they would never see Kunle again. 3 days passed. Kunle's wife could no longer keep calm. That afternoon she went to Tundai's house, her face filled with worry. "Brother Tundai, have you heard from Kunle?" she asked, her voice shaky. Tundai looked up, acting surprised. "No, I haven't." "Why?" She held her wrapper tightly. "He told me he was taking a client to another town," she said. "He said it might take time, but this is the 3rd day now. His phone is not going through. I'm getting scared." Tundai frowned, pretending to think. "Did he tell you exactly where he was going?" She shook her head slowly. "No, he just said outside Lagos." Tundai sighed. "Don't worry," he said gently. "Maybe the journey took longer than expected. You know how these things are." But she didn't look convinced. "I don't feel okay," she whispered. "Kunle will not just disappear like this." Tundai stood up. "All right, let me ask around at the park. I'll find out something." She nodded, a little relieved. "Please, do." "I will," Tundai said. But as she left, Tundai's face changed. Days turned into weeks. Kunle did not return. His wife's worry turned into fear, then into tears. His boy cried every night. There was no food, no money, no support. Neighbors began to whisper. Maybe something happened on the road. Maybe robbers attacked him. Or maybe he ran away. No one knew the truth. And Tundai, within 1 month, everything changed. Money began to flow. He bought new buses, then cars, then a house. People gathered around him in amazement. "Ah, Tundai has made it. God has finally answered him." They congratulated him. They praised him. No one suspected anything. But somewhere in the same city, a woman cried herself to sleep every night, still waiting, still hoping, for a man who would never return. A few days later, Kunle's wife came again. This time her face was tired, her eyes swollen. "Brother Tundai, please," she said softly. "The children have not eaten well. I don't know what to do again." Tundai avoided her eyes. "I understand," he said slowly. "But things are tight right now. I don't really have anything." She froze. "Nothing?" she repeated. "But people said you just bought another bus." Tundai cleared his throat. "It's not as it looks. I have commitments." Her voice broke. He is your brother. Tunde looked away. I will see what I can do later. For now, I don't have anything. She stood there, hurt and confused. Okay, she whispered, then left quietly. Later that night, Tunde's wife confronted him. Why did you talk to her like that? She asked. That is your brother's family. Tunde's face hardened. I said I will help when I want to help, he replied. For now, I don't have anything for them, and make sure not to give out my money to that family. His wife stared at him. But you and Kunle were so close. What changed? Tunde didn't answer, and in that silence, something felt terribly wrong. That night, Kunle's wife knelt beside her bed, tears flowing without control. God, please bring my husband back to me, she cried softly. Wherever he is, protect him. Save him from every danger. Deliver him from evil. Her voice trembled as she held her chest. He cannot just disappear like this. Please, Lord, have mercy. She wept deeply, calling his name again and again, her heart heavy with fear and hope mixed together. Exhausted, she lay down slowly, with tears still on her face. She cried herself to sleep. The next morning, Tunde's wife could not rest. What she saw in Kunle's home, the hunger, the tears, it stayed with her. Quietly, without telling her husband, she packed some foodstuff and a little money. Then she went to Kunle's house. When Kunle's wife saw her, she almost broke down again. My sister. Thank you, she said, her voice shaking. Tunde's wife held hand gently. Please, she whispered. Don't tell my husband, just manage this for now. Conley's wife nodded quickly. God will bless you. She prepared food that afternoon. For the first time in days, she and her son sat down to eat a proper meal. But at that same moment, they were eating the food. Tunde was at home. Suddenly, he screamed, a loud, terrifying scream. Please, don't flog me, don't kill me, he shouted, clutching his body. His wife ran out in shock. Tunde, what is it? He rolled on the floor, shaking violently. Don't touch me, please, I didn't mean to, he cried. His voice had changed, fear, pain, madness. Neighbors began to gather. What is happening? Tunde's wife knelt beside him, trembling. What did you do? Talk to me. Then suddenly, he stopped. For a second, everywhere was silent, and then he spoke. I used him, he whispered. His wife froze. I used Kunle, he said louder now, tears streaming down his face. I took him there. I killed my own brother. A loud cry filled the compound. No, his wife screamed. Someone quickly ran to call Kunle's wife. When she arrived and heard the truth, she collapsed, wailing. Why? Why would you do this to us? She cried bitterly. Tunde began to laugh, a strange, broken laugh. Then suddenly he jumped up and ran out of the house. From that day on, he never became normal again. He roamed the streets, dirty and wild, screaming the same words over and over. I used my brother. I used him for money. People ran from him. Children cried when they saw him. And the wealth he chased became nothing but a curse. Kunle's wife was left with her son and her pain. A pain no one could take away. The price of quick riches is a lifetime of regret. Some people chase money, but forget that not all wealth is a blessing. Because sometimes what you gain in a moment, you pay for the rest of your life.
So, besties, tell me in the comments, do you think it was Kunle's fault to have followed his brother there the second time? What do you think? Share your thoughts. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more chilling tales from African Tales by Chinua. Till next time. Bye.